Welcome back to What's on My Needles, and this time around is episode 2 for the little Olympic peacock. Um, and I realized I keep saying peacock. A lot of you will recognize this little guy as Terry the turkey. Um, Almost identical pattern. It's just the inside, instead of being a pumpkin, is the Olympic flame. So last time I showed you the funness of this. So this is their tail. And I did leave these out on purpose. It actually makes it so I can sew to the back of the peacock. So this time I will be working on the flames and then how to attach them. I'm not planning on doing an overly elaborate of how the flames are made, partially because this is an identical copy to a pattern that I've already filmed and already published. So if you would like a link to that pattern, please check up in the corner, and I will get set up and I'll be right back. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to these social media platforms. Links will be provided in the description below. So the first part of working the flames is to actually make the flames themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and cast on, and I'm casting on 8 stitches. So I do a modified cable cast on, but obviously any cast on that works for you works for this. Sometimes the cast on actually does matter. This is not one of those times. Now I go ahead and knit the first stitch all the time, even if in pattern it would be a purl, but it just locks that stitch in place. So there are the 4 purl stitches and then the 4 knit stitches. And I'm going to go ahead and follow a chart to do the rest of the flame, and I'll be back when it's time to connect the bind off edge to the cast on edge. So I have worked all the way around the flame, so now it's time to connect the 2 ends and to bind off the stitches. So just like every other repeat, I'm going ahead and binding off the first 4 stitches. And then I'm going to bring up the cast on edge, and I'm going to insert my needle through the cast on edge, and I'm going to go ahead and purl the next stitch and then pull that stitch through the cast on edge. And it's being a little bit more difficult than I want it to be. And then bind off. Now let's see if I can get the second stitch to be a little bit nicer. So purl, pull through, and bind off. And last one, that's a purl. And then I'm going to be doing 4 stitches that are a knit bind off. That way I can just stick with the pattern that was set up in the knitting before this. So after this one is completely done, then I'll be doing an orange flame, and then I will be needing to put them onto the Olympic flame side of the peacock. So I will be back when I'm ready for that step. If you would like to help fund this page, please find me on Patreon at Theatrical Crafts. So here I have the top of the flame side, and now it's time to add the flame. So I'm going to do that by simply placing it up against the stitches that I need to work. I'm going to skip that first one and go into the second stitch. So I'm inserting my needle through the slip stitch edge and through the stitch that I need to work, knitting, and then pulling through the other stitch. Now you do always have the option when doing something like this to actually place both stitches up onto the needle like I just did there. But sometimes it's not necessary to do that. So that's a couple that way. Let me show you again how to do it the other way. So pull and pull. So the upside for me of putting the stitch up onto the needle, onto the left hand needle, rather than just having it on the right hand needle, is that I don't have to double pull through. So that's actually just how this entire row is worked. And then I'm going to work a couple more rounds, and then I'll be adding the orange flame on top of that so the flames cover this part, so the garter portion. And then I will be back next week with the peacock side, including putting the tail on and probably putting the head on, and then this little fellow will be done. So I will see you next week on What's on My Needles. Bye!